Bye. You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0. What is up, gang? Welcome to Habs After Dark. It's Devin. 3-2 loss. Montreal Canadiens fall in overtime to the Edmonton Oilers. They are fortunate to get a point out of it. Actually, not a bad game. I thought they played relatively well considering their competition. Before we get going, guys, I will ask you to subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. If you're watching in a replay, hit that subscribe button down below. We're trying to grow our community. Let's see if we can get to 500 subscribers. And if you are interested, please do so if you're enjoying the content. And also, if you are enjoying what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up. That would be awesome too. I see Billy D. You got to get up early. I appreciate that. That's fine. Thanks for popping by, and we'll see you in the next one. Welcome, RDP. How are things? Good to see you. If you're over there on TikTok, guys, you can certainly ask me questions on TikTok if you like, or you can come on over here to YouTube as well. We will answer questions on both platforms, at least for the time being. Again, assuming that you ask questions that are relevant and worth answering. So, guys, we also have our shot in the dark question below here. What player should be a Montreal Canadien after tomorrow's trade deadline? So what I'm asking you is there anybody out there that you'd really like to see the Canadiens make a move to try and acquire before the deadline ends tomorrow afternoon? So if you have an answer to that, feel free to post it in the comments. I think we're going to keep things a little bit short tonight, given how late it is. It's already 1 o'clock here in Halifax, so I do want to get to bed before sunrise. So we'll keep it relatively short for now. It's been a while, guys, since I went on a rant about the referees. So you're going to get the full brunt of it here tonight. That was pure hot garbage by Brandon Blandino and Graham Skilliter. Like, those guys literally... a couple of 5-year-olds could have done a better job at refereeing than those two guys did tonight. I mean, the overtime was horrendous. Lane Hudson got dragged down twice. He got dragged down going to the net, which prevented him from getting a really good scoring opportunity, and then he was dragged down in his own end. As he's trying to join the rush, the Edmonton players interfering with him and knocking him down. Just like unbelievable, like easiest calls you could ever make, and the referees blow it. First period, who was the first high sticking penalty against Gallagher? Leon Draisaitl grabs Gallagher's stick and lifts it up into his own face, and then throws his head back, and they call a penalty on that. Right on the next one, I believe it was on Cartier. The Oiler player hooks the Canadian stick and wraps it around his own head with his own stick, and the referees call that high sticking. Like, it's unbelievable how terrible these referees are. They literally have no forsaken clue. And can Connor McDavid possibly have a penalty call against him? Like, he's in the corner with Nick Suzuki, and he's got Nick Suzuki's stick under his arm for about 5 seconds, and then Nick Suzuki finally is afraid he's going to get called for hooking, so he lets the stick go, and it's still under McDavid's arm for another 3 or 4 seconds. But you can't call a penalty on McJesus, because God forbid he should get a penalty. Like, it's garbage. The referees in this league it's the biggest weak point of this entire league is the refereeing. The officiating is terrible. The rules and the rule book are horrible, and the officiating is garbage. Like the penalty on Draisaitl it's a joke. He literally takes the Canadiens player's stick, and he's holding off the Canadiens player. He grabs the Canadiens player's stick and then picks it up and whacks himself in the face with it. And the referee's standing 3 feet away from him and calls it high sticking on the Canadiens player. Like, it's unbelievable. It's horrible refereeing in this league. And again, normally I will be fully prepared to admit that the refereeing either does or doesn't affect tonight it did. The Canadiens win this game with decent refereeing, right? With normal refereeing, the Montreal Canadiens win this game tonight. Like, they 1 for 3 on the power play for the Oilers on some, and then the blown calls that they should have called in overtime is just horrendous. Like garbage calls or missed calls. It's just so bad. It's so bad. Flux says Zegras would be sick. I think Zegras would be an interesting one. I would like to see what that would do. They were trashed both ways, says Ben Georgie. Give me some examples, Ben. Give me some examples of calls that went against you. I mean, McDavid gets the benefit of the doubt. Draisaitl does as well, not to the same degree. But I don't agree with that. I don't agree that it went both ways. What calls would have been called against the Canadiens in overtime? There were at least 3 penalty calls that should have been made against the Oilers in overtime, right? Including one that led to or prevented a scoring opportunity. So McDavid doesn't take penalties. Doesn't matter how it looks. I agree. He never we've only see them twice a year, but this is the second game this year where he got away with murder and didn't. Does the header say 3-2 Montreal? Well, we'll have to fix that, won't we? Here we go. Did I screw it up? I did. Stand by. 3 Canadiens 2. Save. Publish. I'm worried about Zegras may be a problem in the room. I don't see that, Habby. I don't. What gives you the feeling that he would be trouble in the room? I don't think that there's an issue with him in the room. I think the issue that he's dealing with right now is more so that the way he plays doesn't sort of fall in line with the philosophy of that organization. I think in the room he'd be fine in Montreal. He's best friends with Cole Caulfield. A number of those guys have played together, and I don't think he would be a problem in the room. McDavid has missed calls on him every night. Quit your crying. Okay, whatever, oil up. Oh, brother, you're delusional. This is why we don't do TikTok, guys. Zegers is going to flourish if he goes to Montreal. I mean, again, I don't know that for sure, Cole, but very possibly. Oilers can play average and still better than the Canadiens. Good one, Kevy. Your team's never going to win the Stanley Cup. How about that? Ever. So, I got you, RDP. I got you. I think it's fixed there now. Yeah, Zegras for me, I don't think I don't really have a concern about him in the room. I don't think he's a malcontent. I don't think he's a guy who brings bad attitude. He plays a certain style of hockey, and I don't think it fits with what the Anaheim Ducks are looking for, from their management or their coaching staff. And so, I think that's the bigger issue there. I think, with a coach like Marty St. Louis, I think the situation would be very different for him, and I think that Marty St. Louis could unlock some of that talent. And I think, if you allow a kid like and Zegras is not a bad defensive hockey player. Like everyone thinks he's he's some sort of a deficiency on defense. He's not, right? He's played well on defense in the past. He's not a terrible defensive player. I just think that the Ducks have this this attitude and the style of play that they want to play, and I don't think that he really fits with that. And so, I think coming to Montreal with a different coaching staff, with a different attitude, with a different culture, I think things could be very different. Am I gonna would I break the bank to bring him in? No, but again, if you could get a decent deal for him, and again, Montreal is at a great spot in that they're not desperate. They don't need him. But they can wait out. They can wait it out, and if the trade deadline comes and goes, they can talk about it. I mean, they've been talking about it for over a year now. So we'll see. We'll see. I think you're spot on. Zegras won't get a huge return, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know what they're asking for him. I'm not sure what it is that what the ask is. I suspect it's probably higher than. Obviously he's been on the trade market for a while, so presumably they're asking for a fair amount, and certainly more than anyone's been willing to pay so far. Honestly, I don't think his style fits in the playoffs at all. I don't see him winning puck battles. Okay, yeah. Again, I don't know that he's had the opportunity. I mean, he's got 2 60-point seasons under his belt already. Not every player on your team has to win puck battles. There's a lot of guys out there who do other things on the ice, and winning puck battles is not necessarily the be all and end all for every player. You do obviously have players on your team that do that, but not every player has to. I think that Zegras' off the puck game is underestimated, and I think again with the right coaching and with the right plan and in the right place, I think he could succeed. Obviously he's not succeeding in Anaheim. There's no denying that. But again, he's not getting, Sean Cronin is a bit of a hard ass old school style coach, right? And that's what he's looking for from Zegras. And Zegras just doesn't have that game. And I think, in a place like Montreal with a coach like Martin St. Louis, he could rediscover those aspects of his game. I think he could. Guys, if you're over on TikTok, come on over here to YouTube if you want to see the graphics and so on and so forth. But there's really no way for me to put the graphics and stuff on TikTok. But if you're on YouTube, you will definitely be able to see those. We're going to go to the scoreboard here now, guys. Okay, I saw that. Brock Nelson to Avs. Are you guessing that, or are you telling me that that's already happened, Cole? So here's a scoreboard for tonight, guys. As we said, 3-2 overtime for the Oilers. Corey Perry with the first goal of the game in the first period. Cole Caulfield with a really nice anticipation play to tie it up. He stole a pass coming out of the Oilers zone and went in alone on Skinner and beat him to tie the game. Draisaitl with a nice goal from Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins on the power play early. Again, that was the too many men penalty that the Canadiens had. Really dumb play by both Jaden Struble and Alexandre Carrier. And it hurt the Canadiens, right? Draisaitl scores on the power play from Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins. And then Yoel Armia on a really, really nice individual play by Lane Hudson. Lane Hudson carries the puck all the way from his own zone and finds Yoel Armia left alone in the high slot, feeds him with a pass, and Armia buries it. No scoring in the third period. And then, of course, in overtime with just 8 seconds left in the overtime, the Oilers win it on a goal by Bouchard from McDavid and Draisaitl. Again, after probably 3 penalties that should have been called against the Oilers, they managed to score a goal, which is ridiculous. But anyways, Chris Johnson reported for Callum Ritchie and a first. Entertap is reporting it as well. It says Brock Nelson and William Dufour for Callum Ritchie, Oliver Shillington, a 26th or 27th first round pick, and a conditional third round pick in 2028. Yeah, I'm not sure I love that move for the Avs. To be honest with you, I think Callum Ritchie's a really good prospect. I'm not sure I would be giving up a first round draft pick for all that. But I guess they're in it to win it now, and that's kind of what you got to do. But welcome, Entertap. What's going on? Yeah, we'll take the point. It was a really good game from a a maturity point of view. Like it was a well played road game by the Montreal Canadiens, right? It was a veteran road game where they made sure they got a point, and they played it very smartly in that sense, right? So now they're 11 of their last 12 points. Is that where we're at? Or yeah, so they've won 5 of 6 and got a point in the sixth one. So as far as the advanced stats go, they're a little bit lopsided on the possession for the Oilers. 77 to 50 and 53 to 40. Sorry, 53 to 34 on the Fenwick, but only 10 to 7 on the high danger scoring chances. If you'll recall, the other night against Buffalo had 26 high danger scoring chances in that game, right? 26 high danger scoring chances for Buffalo the other night, and only 10 against McDavid, Draisaitl, and the Oilers tonight. And the expected goals were pretty even. I think I have that backwards. It says 298 for Montreal and 288 for Edmonton, but I think it's actually the other way around. Yeah, it is. So that's backwards, but again, it's pretty even, right? The bottom line is it's pretty even. And if you recall, again, the Buffalo Sabres had 6.3 expected goals on Monday against the Canadiens. So shows you the difference between this game and that game. Colorado needed their 2C. It's too bad they couldn't really capitalize over all the East teams losing tonight. Why is Buffalo trying to trade Peterka to RDP? Colorado needed a 2C. They're not terrible at 2C. They thought they got their 2C last year, right? Casey Middlestat. That's what they were. They traded Bo Byram to get Casey Middlestat last year, and now I guess Casey Middlestat's not good enough. So I don't know. I don't know if I love that trade for Colorado. I think they've got enough firepower as it is. It appears that their goaltending's in place. I think it's going to come down to, for them, it's going to come down to, can they use their experience and their playoff past to be better than the teams that they will be playing. It's they're by far the most experienced, other than perhaps Las Vegas. They're the most experienced playoff team in the West, right? So. I don't know if Brock Nelson is the guy or not, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know about the Peterka trade. Apparently, people are reporting that there are significant conversations going on about Peterka, but we'll see. I have no idea. I don't know whether Peterka would be on the move, and certainly if he was, I would certainly hope that Kevin Adams would get a really handsome return for him. Because he's a good hockey player and he's still young and all that good stuff. So, like I said, guys, if you're over on TikTok, guys, feel free to post your questions. If you want to come over and you actually want to see the graphics and watch the show, then you'll have to come over to YouTube. The channel is Recliner Sports 4. Come on, jump in the comment section and fire away. If you're over here on the YouTube channel, then hit that like button. Give us a couple thumbs up there. see what we can do. We're going to keep it pretty short here tonight just because of the late hour. West Coast games, of course, finished. Well, it's not West Coast, I guess, but Western games finished late, and it's already after 1 o'clock here in Nova Scotia, so I don't really want to stay up too late here tonight. But there's your scoreboard, guys. Again, a much better game from the Canadiens than, probably better than their last 3 games. The game against San Jose was not that great. The first game against Buffalo was okay, and the second game against Buffalo was pretty horrendous. So this was a step forward. So it's, I think we can take some positives out of this game tonight. Colorado is beating San Jose 7-2. Okay. Colorado's a good team. RDP says, tells me there are no big deals out of Buffalo. Henry Yokiharu, yes, maybe one more, but nothing significant. Yeah, again, I don't know. Like I said, it's coming from, nobody's reporting a trade. I think they're just reporting that there's conversations about it. And, as a Sabres fan, I would be happy to hear that, right? I would be happy to hear that my general manager is out there exploring things. Just because you're exploring things doesn't mean that you're going to make a trade, right? And I think for me, I'm always happy to hear that Kent Hughes is out there talking to other GMs and seeing what the market is for his players. And it doesn't mean that he's going to make a trade. It just means that he's out there looking at it. And if somebody offered him some ridiculous return for somebody, then it gives him something to think about. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to know that some of your players or your favorite team's players are out there on the market, right? I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Sebastien, disappointed with that goal with just 6 seconds to play. Yeah, it was 8 seconds to play, but I'm not going to quibble over that, Sebastien. I thought that the refereeing was terrible tonight, and in particular in the overtime. I thought that there were at least 2, probably 3 penalties that should have been called against Edmonton in the overtime period, including the one that stopped Lane Hudson from going straight in on the goal, pretty much all alone against Skinner, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was a nice goal, and they certainly played it well. But again, it's just the referees just kind of choked on it a little bit there in the overtime, I thought, and earlier in the game, right? I mean, for those of you, did anybody else notice that on that first penalty call of the game that Leon Draisaitl just grabbed Brendan Gallagher's stick and lifted it up into his own face? Like, did anybody else notice that? Am I the only person who saw that? I don't know if they're always out to get the Habs, JK83. They're just not very good in the NHL, and they have a tendency to referee by reputation. And when you're playing against guys like Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, it makes your job that much harder. Not to mention that those guys are crafty veterans, and they're smart, and they know how to get away with things, and they know how to play the referees because the referees aren't that smart. And like I said, Draisaitl played the referee like a fiddle with that first penalty. Yes, Sebastien, at least they get 1 point. Happy to see that for sure. Again, it was a well played game in that sense. It was a well played road game where they made sure to not leave without at least the 1 point. And then obviously anything can happen in overtime. And against one of the better teams in the league, that's not a terrible result. Aussie87, welcome. I think you're new here. Welcome to the show. And do I think Toronto is going to go after Rantanen, maybe get him and use him for the playoffs, then let him go in the summer? I don't know how they're going to afford him, Aussie87, to be honest with you. I don't know that they have much cap space available. I don't know that he would be an ideal move for Toronto. I don't think he would be the guy for Toronto to go after, quite frankly. But again, I'm not going to say it can't happen. I'm just going to say it's not very likely, in my view. New York Islanders also retained 50% salary. Okay. Yes, Columbus, Detroit, Boston all lost tonight. So again, the Canadiens will gain a point on those 3 teams. So we'll see. No call on the referees on Gallagher getting the stick right. Yeah, the Draisaitl grabs the stick and hits himself in the face with it. So not only did the Canadiens not get the call for holding the stick, but the referees put the cherry on top by giving them the by not calling or by giving the Canadiens the penalty. No problem, Ozzy. I'm happy to have you here. Are you actually from Australia? Or are you from Australia living in North America? Are you still in Australia? I don't know. My sister lives in Australia. I love it there. I've been there multiple times. I think it's a great place. The Islanders have now moved Shillington to the Ducks. Okay, there you go. 11 out of 12 points since Four Nations. Yeah, I'm happy about it too, Hayden. It's nothing to be unhappy about. Again, I think that, obviously there's always going to be a touch of disappointment after a loss, especially when it's that close. If I'm going to complain about anything, I'm going to complain about the referees tonight because I thought the players played well. I thought they deserved a better result, and I don't think the referees gave them a fair chance in tonight's game. But it is what it is, and we'll have to move on. And we've got the Flames on. When are the is it on Saturday? The Flames, I think. Yeah, Saturday night. I think they play the Flames. Ozzy's from Toronto, but I'm a Penguins fan. Ozzy is a nickname from my hockey team. Okay, gotcha. If you're enjoying the content, Ozzy, feel free to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button down below. And for the rest of you guys, if you're enjoying the content, give us a thumbs up. It always helps. We're trying to grow the community here. We're pretty new at doing this, and we're trying to grow the community here. We're trying to give you guys a place where you can come and talk about hockey in a civil and intelligent way, and not have to deal with some of the the typical online BS that you typically have to run into sometimes when you want to talk about hockey on the internet. So this is the spot we're trying to create for you guys, and if you're interested in that, we'd love for you to subscribe and join our group. And if not, that's fine too. And if you do enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching in a replay, same things apply. We would love to have you as part of our gang. Hayden will be at the game on Saturday. Nice. You're out in Calgary, are you, Hayden? That'll be fun. The Canadiens that lost with only 7 or 8 seconds. That's kind of like a steak half cooked. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to lose that way. But Suzuki didn't have a great night. Okay. I'm not sure what game you were watching, Eric, but not sure that you really know what you're talking about. I thought Suzuki played a very good game tonight. The stats bear that out. I thought he had a really good game. I mean, we can certainly confirm it for you should you wish. Nick Suzuki tonight. What do we got here? Expected goals for percentage of 60%. 1.21 expected goals for while he's on the ice, 0.8 against. 4 high danger chances for and 2 high danger chances against. He's on the ice all night against the Oilers' number 1 line. And I thought he did pretty well. Let's see the individual stats. Individual high danger chances. Just the one, but only one player on the Canadiens had more than 1 high danger chance. He had 1 scoring chance. He had 1 chance. He had... Yeah, not a bad game for Nick Suzuki. I wouldn't have said he had a bad game. Well, I'm not one of those advanced stat peoples. I mean, if you're on the ice for more scoring opportunities in favor of your team than the other team is, then he played a really good game tonight, right? Like what are you judging the fact that he played badly on? What's your take on, like, what's the evidence that he had a bad game? His mistakes. So which ones are those? Give me an example. Give me an example of the mistakes that he made and the sloppiness tonight. 0 giveaways tonight, right, for Nick Suzuki? So zero giveaways for Nick Suzuki tonight. Losing the puck in OT. When did that happen? I didn't see that. Yeah, I don't think you really know what you're talking about, Eric. But that's okay. You're allowed to not know what you're talking about. So, yes, Suzuki has been playing great lately. I thought he had a good game tonight. Ozzy, he's got 12 points in his last 5 games or something like that. I thought he played really well tonight as well. I thought the entire first line played quite well tonight. Unfortunately, the second line was kind of hamstrung. I feel like Owen Beck is holding back the second line a little bit. I think he was, holding them back a little bit just because, Marty St. Louis didn't feel real comfortable putting him on the ice, which again, I have a problem with that a little bit. It's tough, it's tough to, I don't know, like, if you're going to have him up, then you might as well, like, you got to play him. Like, you can't have that whole second line playing 10 or 11 minutes just because if you're going to have Owen back up, you got to play him. I don't know. Entertap probably cooks his steak well done. I'm curious, what do you use to check your stats? NHL website. I use the NHL website, and I use Money Puck, and I also use Natural Stat Trick. Well, we can fix that, Eric. We can fix that pretty easily. Now it's not. Now it's 1 against 1. Pretty sure Suzuki has the most points in the league since returning from the break. I think that's right, Ozzy. Again, Sebastian, I don't know that making the playoffs is really the be-all and end-all for this team. It's not really what they're out to do. Like, I don't think making the playoffs is what they're judging their successes and failures on right now. It just is what it is. Like, I don't know. See, this is why we try to stay away from TikTok, guys. There's just too many clowns on TikTok, but we got a zero tolerance policy, so we're just not even going to put up with it. So I can't wait till Montreal gets a player for the second line. You're trying to push the buttons there, RDP. That's fine. I don't know that that's going to be a priority. Certainly not at the deadline. Maybe in the offseason. They might get somebody. I don't know. I think if the right deal comes around, they might bring somebody in. I don't think it's going to be a real earth shaker. I don't think if you're looking for them to bring in a big name to take over that second center line, I don't think you're going to see that, but it could happen. Yeah, I saw that, Intertap. I saw that before. Making the playoffs, that's what you go for. Well, no, Sebastian, they're actually in a rebuild right now, and so at this stage of the rebuild, obviously making the playoffs is great. But if they don't make the playoffs, then it's not the end of the world, right? It's just it's great, and that's what again, you have to differentiate. You have to distinguish between the players and the organization, right? Yeah, the players are playing for the playoffs, and that's what you want them to do, right? You don't want them to have any type of doubt about that. You want them to go out there every night to do everything they can to make the playoffs and to do all that stuff. But from an organizational point of view, they're not going to sit back after the season and say, oh, this season was a failure because we didn't make the playoffs, or this season was a success because we did make the playoffs. That's all I'm trying to say. Even Suzuki said, yeah, again, the players, Sebastien, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. That the players, you want the players, you want them to want to win the Stanley Cup. You don't want them to have an idea in their head that they, but again, when the season's over and you look back at the season, the organization isn't going to consider this season a failure if they don't make the playoffs. And so, in that sense, they're not going to go out there and make a bunch of trades and get rid of young players and prospects and draft picks in order to bring somebody in so that they can sneak into the playoffs. That's what I'm saying, right? So, like, the ultimate goal for this team this year is not to necessarily to get into the playoffs. Obviously, if they it'd be great if they did, and the greatest thing about getting there would be that they would get the experience of playing in the playoffs. They would have the opportunity to play in those games, and those young kids would get the opportunity to experience all that. And that's kind of the idea. I mean, it's not. I don't think anybody thinks that if they made the playoffs, they would have any realistic chance of doing any real damage in the playoffs, right? So Trade Kent Hughes only. What does that mean, Sebastien? I don't understand what you mean by trade Kent Hughes only. I don't know what you mean by that. Why don't we get to our A team tonight, guys? The A team, of course, is our version of the stars of the game here at Recliner Sports, and we pick 4 players, all from the Canadiens. Regardless, we're not picking the stars of the game. We're picking the Canadiens' best players for the particular game, and we of course pick 4 and instead of 3. Mainly because of the 1980s TV show, The A-Team, and here they are, guys. Entertap didn't even get a chance to try and guess before I got it out there tonight. So tonight, the A-Team for the Montreal Canadiens. For me, my picks was Nick Suzuki, Lane Hudson, Cole Caulfield, and Brendan Gallagher. A couple of other names could have been on there, I suppose. Obviously, there's always other names that could be on there. If you want to let me know whether you think I got it right, if you think I got it completely wrong, are there guys that I missed? Are there guys that I picked that didn't deserve to be there? Those are the guys. Those are the guys I picked. Nick Suzuki, of course, had a really strong game tonight. That whole first line, he and Caulfield were dangerous pretty much all night. He played really, really well. Lane Hudson, again, played his usual game. Again, his defensive game looked really, really strong tonight as well. You know what? Laine had a good game tonight, RDP. Laine had a really good game tonight. It's not a joke. Laine led the team in expected goals for percentage by a significant margin. He only played 8 minutes. Sorry, that's without penalty power play. That's not in all situations. He had played 10 minutes and 18 seconds. He had a 66% expected goals, 4 percentage better than anyone on the team. While he was on the ice, the Canadiens had 6 scoring chances and only 2 against. Laine played well tonight. Dobesh didn't play tonight, Eric. Dobesh did not play tonight. NHL 25 rebuild. I don't know what that means, unit. Please clarify. Forget the A-Team. Knight Rider was better. Okay, Knight Rider was a good show. Am I a Braves fan? Not really. Not especially. Didn't get to watch the whole game, but towards the second half of the game, thought Arbor Jackeye. If you're going to say he played well, I agree. Jackeye's become a solid player for the Montreal Canadiens. He's reliable. He goes out, he does his job, he keeps it simple. And he plays really good hockey. And, tonight, his stats were good. I thought he looked good. The eye test was good. Entertap's A-Team is Hudson, Matheson, Caulfield, and Armia. Honorable mention to Suzuki. Armia had a good game. I'll give you that. I'm not sure about Matheson for me. Massive minutes, right? He played almost 31 minutes tonight and played well in overtime. Had a couple scoring chances in overtime. Maybe not my first choice, but I'm not going to argue with you about that one. Watch the Lakers game before it ends. I'll take a pass on that, unit. Like, share, and follow, guys, if you're on TikTok. And if you're over on YouTube, guys, give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Do I like eating steaks? I do. Yeah, I do eat steaks, Sebastien. So does anybody else have any feedback other than Entertap about the A-Team tonight, the stars of the game? Suzuki, Hudson, Caulfield, and Brendan Gallagher. Those were the best players, or the A-Team tonight for the Montreal Canadiens from my point of view. All right. Listen, guys, if you enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up. I see there's 8 people watching right now. And we only got the 5 thumbs up, the 5 likes. So hit that like button, guys. There's 9 watching now. Concerned that Beck's time on ice is less and less. Only 8:22 tonight for that amount. Send him down to Laval. I agree completely. Enter tap. Bye, unit. Have a good night. Enjoy your life. Yeah, I agree. Again, I said it earlier. I don't know if you were in here when I said it earlier. Enter tap. I mean, for me, if you're going to have him up, if he's going to be on the team, then you got to play him, right? And not only did he have 8:22 tonight, but his line mates were under 10 minutes as well. So there's a sense that whole line is getting reduced ice time because for whatever reason, Marty St. Louis doesn't fully trust Owen Beck. And you're right. If he's going to play 7 or 8 minutes a game, that's not good for him developmentally. Like, he needs to be down in Laval playing on that team. But again, I don't know what the options are, right? Like, what are the options? Who else are you going to bring up? And maybe we're going to see a move tomorrow. Right? And maybe they'll bring somebody. Again, I don't see them making a big move. I don't see them bringing in a guy who they think is the permanent answer on the second line. I still think that Ryan Donato might be the option. I know Coach disagrees with that. It depends on whether or not you think you can re-sign Donato. I think I don't think they want to bring in a guy who's going to be around for more than a year or two. But we'll see. Thanks, RDP. Also, not fair to put Beck on 2C. Yeah, agree. He's not. Yeah, he's not. Well, he's never a 2C. Like, the future, like, at his best, Owen Beck is not going to be a second line center in the NHL. That's not his. That's not even his ceiling. That's not what we're looking for from him. I think Savard or Dvorak might be gone tomorrow. Yeah, it could happen, Ross. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, Ross. I don't know if I agree with you on that he's for sure gone. I mean, Dvorak could definitely be traded tomorrow. I think it's possible. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck around. Frankly, the market for him probably is not that strong. And, he's played his best hockey as a Montreal Canadien of late. And he does contribute. You can say what you want about him, but he's the only left-handed centerman on the team. He's far and away the best face-off guy in the team, and like I said, he's playing his best hockey as a Montreal Canadien that we've seen in a really long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck around, because at the end of the day, what are you going to get in return for him right now? Like, maybe a third-round draft pick, but more likely a fourth. Like, so what are the Canadiens going to trade Christian Dvorak for a fourth-round draft pick, or are they going to keep him till the end of the year and see what they can do with him then? I don't see that happening. Savard is probably more likely to go because he has value as a right-handed defenseman, as a guy with Stanley Cup experience, as a guy who could lend some value to a Stanley Cup contender as a third pairing or even a seventh defenseman, a guy you could put out there. I mean, he obviously can't play more than 12 or 13 minutes a game anymore. He doesn't have the speed anymore, but he's got the experience, and he's got a lot of the other stuff to go with it, and he's still capable of playing good hockey here and there. And again, playoff hockey will certainly lend itself to his abilities. The Canadiens want to keep him for experience. Well, not really, Habby. I don't see that. I mean, I think they do like David Savard, and I think that David Savard could end up coming back to the team down the road, either as a coach or in some other capacity. I think he could be part of the organization. So in that sense, I agree with you. They do like his experience that way. But I don't think they're going to, they're not going to keep him on this team for much longer. And if they do keep him for next year and into the future, I think it'll be as the seventh defenseman. I think he would work out as the seventh defenseman in Montreal, as a guy who plays, once every 5 or 6 games, spells guys who, might need a rest or might be injured. And, he's much, he's a guy who can go on the ice and play every 5th or 6th game and not sort of be troubled by that. Whereas, with guys like Jaden Struble and Justin Barron, and who when they sit out for 5-6 games in a row and then you put them in the game, they're not really able to do the job. So I could see Savard staying next year as a seventh defenseman, and then maybe sticking around and joining the organization. But again, I think if they get the right offer for him, then they'll do something with him. I think he'll go for sure if they get the. It's the same with everybody. If they get the right offer, they'll go. But again, I don't see them. I don't see them desperately trying to get rid of him. I don't see that. Enter tap, the teams find the way it happens to be right now. The Canadiens don't clear the puck, put out their zone sometimes, or out of their zone sometimes. Yeah, I mean, they struggle. I mean, defensive zone coverage has been an uphill battle for this team from the very beginning. At times they look really, really good at it, and sometimes they don't. And a team like Edmonton's really good forechecking. They've got good, quick, fast players who know how to play the game. They're veterans, and so they're going to put a lot of pressure on the youngish Canadiens defensemen to on the breakout, and it's not always going to look amazing in those circumstances. So. I think they're much better at it than they have been in the past. Obviously, Cole Caulfield. Obviously, Lane Hudson is really good at it. He is at times he sees the ice really, really well. He makes quick decisions. He moves the puck well, and if he has to, he can sort of take the puck and skate it out himself. So. I think that the breakout is improving, although sometimes against some of the better teams it does struggle with the forecheck. They're not perfect, but fighting for a playoff spot. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know that the playoffs are really the ultimate goal of this team this year. I mean, they are for the players, obviously, but again, I don't think it's going to be a failure or a success if this team doesn't make the playoffs this season. I think it's more about development and improving on last year. So again, I don't see the playoffs being the be all and end all for this team this year. Hudson is a star in the making. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I mean, he's got what's he got 52, 53 points this year already, I'm going to say. Let me see what we have here for young Mr. Hudson. Lane Hudson has 48 points, 4 goals and 44 assists. He has, in his last 5 games, he has 7 points and is a +5 in his last 2, 4, 6. Yeah, in his last 7 games, he's a +5 with 7 points. So that's pretty good. Will Marchand be dealt? I don't know, RDP. It would be hard for them to move on from Marchand. I mean, he's kind of like the last guy standing from their great teams. He's obviously well liked in Boston. It would be hard for them to move him, I think. Is that 48 before tonight? Okay, so maybe. Yeah, you're right. It is 48 before tonight. So that would be another assist tonight. So it means he has 49 points, which means he has 8 points in his last 6 games and is he was even tonight. So he's still +5 over his last 6 games. So Lane Hudson's going to be a really special player. I thought tonight his defense was really, really good. Like there was times where he was, one-on-one with Leon Draisaitl, who's notoriously difficult to move off the puck. And, obviously he wasn't going to overpower him, but he certainly, held his own and defended him quite well at times. What's up, Pete? Nice to see you. Thank you for popping in. I do appreciate it. We're not going to be on here much longer. I think we're going to end the show a little bit early tonight just because of the late hour West Coast games. We may not do a show on Saturday, guys. I haven't decided. Again, I think it's going it's actually not going to be a late game on Saturday, but I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be in Cape Breton So I'm not sure I'm going to do a show on Saturday night. I may take a night off, a well-deserved night off if I can grant myself that. But I think that's just going to be it for tonight, guys. I do appreciate everybody for coming. Again, it was a great turnout considering the late hour. Canadiens lose 3-2 in overtime to the Edmonton Oilers. Goals tonight for the Canadiens from Cole Caulfield and who scored the other goal? I'm drawing a blank right now. Yoel Armia, of course, on an assist from Lane Hudson. The Oilers score with 8 seconds left in overtime. $4 million per year for Evans, terrible deal. What are you talking about, Sebastien? He didn't sign a deal for $4 million. I think you're a little all over the place tonight, Sebastien, but that's okay. Yes, Nelson is going to the Avs. C. Stevens. He really should win the Calder. Still time left, but he's really proven himself. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, I think, for him to win that over Macklin Celebrini, but we'll see. What are you doing, Sebastien? Why are you doing this right now? I don't get it. You've been here doing normal stuff all night, and now you're like, I don't get it. Well, what's your problem with Kent Hughes? Canadiens coach is still yapping on his channel. Is he still going? Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to end the show there, guys. I do appreciate everybody for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Again, Canadiens lose 3-2 in overtime. If you are not yet subscribed, please do so. Hit the thumbs up. Give us a like. If you're watching in a replay, that would be awesome as well. We really would appreciate it. That would be awesome. Yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about, Sebastian. So I'm just going to let you go. I'm going to ban you from the channel, Sebastian. You're kind of driving me crazy a little bit. So no, I'll leave you. You can stay. But anyways, you're being a nut job a little bit. Yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. Like I said, if you're watching in a replay, we do appreciate it as well. I know not everybody can watch after the game. And if you do enjoy what you see, give us a thumbs up. Please follow. If you want to have a question, you can put it in the comment section. I will certainly respond as quickly as I can, maybe in the next show or even before then. I'll respond in writing in the comment section. So that's it for tonight. Why don't you like Kent Hughes, Sebastien? Why don't you like Kent Hughes? We'll deal with that question, and then we'll move on, and then we'll end the show. What is it you don't like about Kent Hughes? What's up, Pete? Thank you. I will have a nice day off. I appreciate it. I think I might go live with Coach on Friday night, though. I think he's doing, or tomorrow night. I think he's doing a deadline type thing. Well, again, I don't understand what, like, I've joined YouTube RDP so that I can get away from, like, remember I always talk about having intelligent civil conversations, like people who continually repeat false information, doesn't really promote that agenda, right? Guys who, again, like this kind of foolishness is what I'm trying to get away from by leaving TikTok and doing, YouTube. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. But that's it, guys. I hope you did enjoy the show. I do appreciate you guys, and I hope that we see you in the next one. And if you are not yet subscribed, please do so. And yeah, that's it for tonight. I hope you guys have a great one. If there's any time left in your night, I hope that you enjoy it. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Hoffman, out of hand, parked in front. Docks a Caulfield, fire, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.